In 1925, Ernest Woodruff locked away a piece of paper. Today, that paper is worth $286 billion, and it sits in a high-tech vault requiring multiple biometric scans just to enter. But here's what's fascinating. While everyone thinks this vault protects Coca-Cola's secret formula, the real secret isn't the recipe at all. The company's most valuable asset was actually created by accident when a nervous pharmacist's paranoia sparked the greatest marketing campaign in history. And today we're going to reveal how Coca-Cola used this accident to build the most valuable beverage empire in the world. This is the story of how a company turned secrecy into billions, outmaneuvered governments and competitors trying to steal their formula, and created a myth so powerful that even their biggest failure ended up making them stronger. But to understand how they pulled this off, we need to go back to a small pharmacy in Atlanta where a Civil War veteran's headache remedy was about to change business forever. In 1886, pharmacist John Pemberton had no idea he was about to create history. He was just trying to cure headaches and morphine addiction, side effects of his Civil War injuries. But his cocaine-laced wine mixture, called Pemberton's French wine Coca, was about to face a major problem. Prohibition was coming to Atlanta. Desperate to save his business, Pemberton created a non-alcoholic version. He called it Coca-Cola. But here's where things get interesting. Pemberton wasn't just worried about prohibition. He was terrified someone would steal his formula. So he never wrote down the complete recipe in one place. Instead, he split it into parts and kept them separate. This paranoid decision would accidentally become worth billions. When Asa Candler bought the company for $2,300 in 1892, he recognized the marketing potential of Pemberton's paranoia. Candler started dramatically performing elaborate rituals around the formula. He would ostentatiously remove his jacket, roll up his sleeves, and personally mix the secret ingredient known as Merchandise 7X in a special room. Employees would see him enter with various ingredients and emerge with the mysterious mixture. It was theatrical, it was unnecessary, and it was marketing genius. Candler didn't just protect a formula, he created a myth. He began spreading stories about only 2 executives knowing the complete recipe at any time. He claimed they were never allowed to travel together. Every story made the secret bigger, more intriguing, more valuable. But in 1911, everything almost fell apart. The government sued Coca-Cola under the Pure Food and Drug Act in 1911. The lawsuit centered on Coca-Cola's use of caffeine, which the government claimed was harmful and argued it made Coca-Cola adulterated under the Act. They demanded the company both stop using caffeine and disclose their formula to prove the drink was safe for public consumption. This put Coca-Cola in a difficult position. If they revealed their formula to prove its safety, they'd lose their trade secret forever. If they refused, they could be found in violation of the Act. Their legal strategy, however, was clever. Rather than reveal their formula, Coca-Cola's lawyers successfully argued 2 key points. First, that caffeine was not an added adulterant, but a distinctive ingredient that made Coca-Cola what it was. And second, that revealing their complete formula would do nothing to address the caffeine concern while unfairly helping competitors. The case eventually reached the Supreme Court and was settled in 1917 when Coca-Cola agreed to reduce its caffeine content by half. This legal victory did more than protect their secret. It legitimized it. Now, Coca-Cola could claim their formula was so special that even the government couldn't access it. But the real genius came in 1919, when Ernest Woodruff wanted to buy Coca-Cola from the Candler family for $25 million, about $400 million in today's money. He needed significant bank financing. For the first time in the company's history, the secret formula had to be written down in its entirety to serve as collateral for the loans. But Woodruff turned this necessity into opportunity. He orchestrated the formula's documentation and transfer to Trust Company Bank's vault as a media event, creating public intrigue around a business requirement. Once the loan was paid off in 1925, Woodruff reclaimed the written formula and established its current legendary status at the trust company bank, now SunTrust. The theatrical movement of the formula to the vault wasn't about keeping it from the banks, but rather about creating a powerful marketing mythology. After all, anything requiring that much security must be incredibly valuable, right? This perception became crucial as Coca-Cola began its global expansion. During World War II, General Eisenhower promised US troops they'd be able to get a Coca-Cola for 5 cents wherever they were stationed. This presented an unprecedented challenge. How do you maintain a secret formula while building bottling plants across the globe? Coca-Cola's brilliant solution was to create a system where multiple plants would produce the syrup components separately, never having access to the complete formula. They turned their paranoia into an efficient distribution system. By 1945, they had 64 bottling plants operating worldwide, and not a single one knew the complete formula. But not every country was willing to play by Coca-Cola's rules. In 1977, Coca-Cola faced one of its biggest challenges when they withdrew from India. The Indian government, under the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act, demanded that Coca-Cola share its secret formula and reduce its equity stake to 40%. The company's response was absolute. They left the world's second most populous market rather than reveal their secret. This decision, which seemed catastrophic at the time, actually reinforced the formula's mystique. When Coca-Cola returned to India in 1993, their market value had grown so much that they could enter on their own terms. The formula's mythology also helped Coca-Cola survive the Cold War. While American products were viewed with suspicion in many markets, Coca-Cola successfully positioned itself as a symbol of mystery and quality, rather than just an American product. In 1979, it became the first Western consumer product sold in China after the Communist Revolution. But perhaps the most fascinating use of the secret formula came during the Cola Wars of the 1980s and 90s. When Pepsi launched the Pepsi Challenge campaign, showing people preferring Pepsi in blind taste tests, Coca-Cola had a unique response. Instead of competing purely on taste, they leaned harder into their formula's mythology. Their advertising subtly reminded consumers that while anyone could mix sugar and carbonated water, only Coca-Cola had the real thing. This strategy proved remarkably effective. Even when taste tests suggested consumers preferred Pepsi's flavor, Coca-Cola maintained its market leadership. They had successfully convinced the world that their secret formula contained something special, something that couldn't be measured in simple taste tests. The power of this myth became clear in 1985 with the New Coke disaster. When Coca-Cola changed their formula, they faced massive public backlash. But here's what most people miss. The outrage wasn't really about taste. Blind taste tests showed people actually preferred New Coke's flavor. The real problem? Coca-Cola had broken trust with their own myth. They had told people for a century that their formula was perfect, irreplaceable, and sacred. Then they changed it. The public wasn't just rejecting a new flavor, they were rejecting the betrayal of a story they'd invested in for generations. Today, Coca-Cola's vault in Atlanta has become a tourist attraction. The company claims it's protected by a palm scanner, a numerical code, and an ID badge. Only 2 executives supposedly know the formula, and they can never fly together. Is any of this actually necessary? Probably not. Modern laboratory equipment could likely determine Coca-Cola's ingredient list fairly easily. But that's not the point. Coca-Cola understood something profound. Mystery is more valuable than information. Their most valuable asset isn't the recipe in the vault, it's the vault itself. It's the story, the myth, the legend. When they launch new products like Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, they don't just promote the taste. They emphasize how it took years to create a zero-sugar drink that wouldn't compromise their secret formula. They've turned their oldest marketing tool into a modern asset. This adaptability might be the real secret to Coca-Cola's success. For over 130 years, they haven't just protected a formula, they've protected a story. They understood that people don't just buy drinks, they buy into mysteries, traditions, and legends. In today's world of instant information and corporate transparency, Coca-Cola's vault in Atlanta stands as a reminder of a powerful truth. Sometimes, the most valuable thing you can offer people isn't information, it's mystery. And if you can turn that mystery into a story worth telling, you might just build an empire worth $286 billion. Like Coca-Cola's formula are channels full of secrets worth uncovering. Subscribe and explore other business Sherlock investigations.